Roast turkey with savory stuffing and cranberry sauce was the meal. It was accompanied by mashed potatoes swimming in gravy and hot rolls with real butter and corn and peas. There was even pumpkin pie for dessert and hot coffee and hard candy, and cigarettes to finish it off. It was not a ration bar or a cold can of hash. It was a full American holiday dinner served on the edge of a frozen battlefield in Belgium. The United States Army delivered over 1 ton of turkey to the troops of the 28th Infantry Division, stationed around Bastogne on November 23, 1944. The logistics behind this meal was staggering. The military high command decided that morale was just as important as ammunition. They utilized the Red Ball Express and a massive chain of refrigerated trucks to push this perishable feast from the ports all the way to the foxholes. Cooks worked in 24-hour shifts in muddy tents just a few miles behind the front lines. They plucked and roasted thousands of birds while artillery rumbled in the distance. They packed the hot food into insulated Marmite cans, which were heavy green thermal containers designed to keep heat in for hours. These cans were strapped to jeeps and driven through the dense Ardennes forest directly to the men who were digging in for the winter. When the soldiers opened those containers, the smell hit them first. It was the scent of sage and roasted meat and sugar. It was a smell that did not belong in a war zone. It overpowered the smell of wet wool and gun oil and unwashed bodies. The men lined up with their aluminium mess kits and watched as the cooks ladled out generous portions of white and dark meat. For a few minutes, the war seemed to stop. Then the crying started. It was not a loud sobbing, but a quiet release of tears that many of the men could not control. They cried while they ate because the food broke their defenses. To survive combat, a soldier has to numb himself. He has to lock away his memories of home and softness because those memories make him vulnerable. He has to become a machine that sleeps in the mud and kills on command. But the taste of the turkey and the texture of the pumpkin pie shattered that numbness. It forced them to remember their mothers and their dining room tables and the lives they had left behind. It made them feel human again, and feeling human on the front lines is a painful experience. They cried from a deep sense of homesickness that hit them with the force of a physical blow. The food was a direct link to the families who were eating the same meal thousands of miles away. It made the distance between Bastogne and Brooklyn or Iowa or Texas feel unbearable. They looked at the steam rising from their plates and they saw the ghosts of their normal lives. They also cried from guilt. This is the survivor's guilt that plagues combat veterans. As they enjoyed this hot meal, they looked at the empty spots in their platoon. They thought about the buddies who had been killed just weeks before in the Huayatjan forest. They thought about the friends who would never eat another Thanksgiving dinner. They felt that by enjoying the food they were somehow betraying the dead. They felt unworthy of the comfort. There was a tragic irony to this meal that makes it so significant in history. The soldiers eating in Bastogne believed they were in a quiet sector. They thought the worst of the fighting was behind them for a while. They did not know that they were sitting directly in the path of the coming German war machine. Less than a month later, the Battle of the Bulge would erupt right where they were sitting. The woods where they ate their turkey would become a slaughterhouse. For thousands of those young men, that Thanksgiving dinner was the last hot meal they ever ate. It was the last time they felt warm and full and connected to home before the ultimate darkness descended. That is why the image of dirty and exhausted soldiers weeping over a plate of turkey remains one of the most powerful and heartbreaking moments of World War I.